Okay, here we go. We're going into these new ascendancies. So obviously we've got three new, I guess, sub-ascendancies, if we want to call them that. I'm going to make this into a team game here because there's one in particular that I feel is just going to be better than the rest. But, you know, you can fight me over it if you agree or disagree. It's entirely up to you, but I don't know. I like ascendancies that give me options. So, alright, so... we've got the Wildwood Ascendancy classes. And by the way, this video is just my thoughts on it, right? You're allowed to disagree with me. All right, so while you're going through the Wildwood, did I say Willwood? I can't read. Wildwood. You'll meet these Asmeri Wanderers, right? And basically, they will give you access to, I guess, Ascend with a secondary Ascendancy, which has you can run alongside with your existing Ascendancy for whatever class archetype that you play. Anyway, this is where the fun stuff comes in. So, Warden of the Magi, alright? So this is like, I don't know, I take this as like the warrior sort of like Ascendancy that's like, yeah, fighter sort of thing. Alright, and we talk about like this one as, there's a new item in the game called Tinctures, which basically means like you can, you know, say you're in like any other like WoW, whatever, and you would rub poisons over your weapons or whatever to do extra attributes. Basically, that's what that is, and it takes up a flask spot for anyone who hasn't watched the POE video about it anyway. So it's really cool. They put this on the POE site for you to have a look at. But this is the new Warden Ascendancy, right? So base stats increase quant within the Vivid Wisps found in the Viridian Wildwood, which is cool because it means you can play the League mechanic a lot more consistently than the Ascendancy that I like. But anyway, it is what it is. So Oath of the Magi, defenses from body armor are doubled if it has no socketed items. I had a look at this one last night. Basically, this is promoting you to not socket into something. So 50% to all elemental resistances if you have an equipped helmet with no socketed gems. 25% increased maximum life if you have equipped gloves with no socketed gems. 30% increased movement speed if you have equipped boots with no socketed gems. I can absolutely tell you now that lab farmers will be running the last one because that's basically how lab works. You just run the fastest mofo character you can. So 30% increased movement speed plus, with no socketed gems and plus increased movement speed on your boots is 60% increased movement speed, which is better than a 7-step in every possible way. So I feel like that's pretty powerful. But anyway, I digress. So, alright, so the next one down, Wildwood Blessing, Barkskin. So my understanding of Barkskin is basically, it's like, you know, literally a layer of skin, like the Lithomancer skin, that chips away over time as you get damaged, which is pretty cool. I think it increases your armor temporarily. And then we go to like Lessons of the Seasons, 10% to avoid non-damaging ailments on you per bark below maximum, 10% reduced duration of damaging ailments per bark, so like ailments being ignite, you know, freeze, anything like that, chill. Ailments that do not deal damage are scorched, chilled, frozen, brittle, shocked, and sapped. Ailments that deal damage are bleeding, ignited, and poisons. There we go. Clarifies it in the Ascendancy for you. That's not necessarily bad. It's good for ailment mitigation to a certain degree. It's not perfect, but hey, it's not a bad defensive stat. And what I found with this Ascendancy is very defensively based. Then we come up to Detect Evil. Your hits against marked enemies cannot be blocked or suppressed. Rare and unique enemies within 120 meters have minimap icons. Like, that seems like it'd be pretty good for farming the Wildwoods, but outside of the Wildwoods, not so useful. And then we come down to Coated Blade. So you can apply tinctures to your weapons, so you can increase your damage using tinctures. And we don't know too much about tinctures yet. We'll find out about that this week, but I could see this being a really good damage stat improver. Like, you know, it seems like it's pretty cool for that. And then we go into Flask adjacent to applied tincture gains 3 charges when you hit an enemy with a weapon, no more than once every second. So basically, it's not great on fast attack speed builds, but it means you can restore your flask charges a lot quicker than what you might have been able to. And you also get 30% increased effect as well when you hit an enemy with a weapon recently. So from your flask. So This is more like a Pathfinder subclass almost, I feel like, with tinctures. And then Enduring Suffusion, which is tinctures applied to you have 75% increased effect per empty slot, so flask slot. So you can be guaranteed that there's going to be guys running like two empty slots, and then basically, you know, running a tincture and then having two flasks in there, and then getting a 75% increase per empty slot for the tincture. So that feels like it could be powerful. But to be honest with you, I don't really like Bark Skin because it's unreliable on a consistent damage basis. So like if you're in Delve, yeah, it's cool for that first hit you take, but it's got to regenerate somehow. And if you're constantly taking abuse and losing Bark, it just seems like it's a benign skill to have if, you know, you're going up against like consistent damages. Like, you know, if you're getting hit by Genix or something like that and he's smashing you in the face 10-4 and he doesn't stop wailing on you, I feel like that's not necessarily the best defensive layer that you could possibly have in the game to mitigate that. But hey, you know what? We'll find out more when we actually play it. I could be wrong. Anyway, I'm not going to be going Warden or the Magi. I just don't think it's all that great. So let's have a look at the next one, which is Warlock of the Mist. So this one, it looks like it's also based on, obviously, like corpses and things like that. So this would be good for like necromancers unless you're going more defensive with it. So just talking through Blood Hunt with Ravenous. Not sure what that is yet. We'll find out this week, but I'm assuming it's some type of minion skill potentially. And then we come down to Sanguin... God, this is like Warhammer all over again. Sanguimancy, which is blood, basically blood skills, right? So that's what, you know, like sanguine sort of stuff refers to. All right, so basically it's skills cost life instead of mana, skills reserve life instead of mana. Mana removes all mana, 50% increased life reservation efficiency of skills, which is basically blood magic on the skill tree. And arguably, like if you double stack this with blood magic, well, you know, blood magic only gives you one reserved aura that you can actually use. So I wonder which one overrides which one. That'd be an interesting thing to sort of understand. So anyway, or maybe you can't take them both at the same time, or if you do, they just channel out, or you can't get to blood magic anyway unless you use an item that has blood magic on it with... actually, no, it's not true because you can apply this to any character. So you can go any path for any character as far as I understand. So yeah, you could overlap it. Which one takes priority? Be interesting to see how that would work just for the shits and giggles. Do I think this is great? I don't necessarily think like health reservation is great unless you're like, you know, you have 10,000 life or something like that, and you can afford to reserve life down to like 5,000 and run like petrified blood or something like that. And then we have cannibalized faith, which is spells you cast yourself gain added physical damage equal to 75% of life cost. If life cost is not higher than the maximum you could spend. Just feels like a lot of word vomit for a skill, but anyway, I've got a preference here for which one I think is the best. I don't think this one's the best, but this could be useful, I guess, in managing costs as well for skills. And then Crimson Power removes all energy shield, gain maximum life instead of maximum energy shield from equipped armor items, -6 life per level. That could actually be pretty cool. Basically, yeah, instead energy shield from equipped armor item. Like that could be a really good way to... Well, that actually mitigates, I guess, this one here, which would allow you to stack life based on your armor items, I guess. Equipped armor items being energy shield based items, I would assume it's talking about. So you could do like a crap load of life stacking based on that, which means, you know, life stacking builds might actually be a viable sort of option in this circumstance. But anyway, you know, I don't know which way that's pointing. Anyway, it sort of seems like it could be cool. We'll see what happens. Like, that means there'll be a whole thing about blood magic builds then. But, yeah, I don't know. All right, so soul splitting grants level 20 summon dark effigy skill. And again, like, this sort of feels like you would play this build on a zombie mancer or something like that, or a zombie sort of class. So Yeah, and I would assume this is like a buffing effigy. You know, you could buff your minions or whatever with it. So it's like it's not a bad sort of skill. And you know, saying this, it's added on top of your existing ascendancy, so it's just more power at the end of the day. Then we have Warlock power, and then you can choose from Grant Pacify. So creeping lobotomy. You can take one of the 3 Warlock passive powers here. So Pacify curses all targets in an hour in an area, having no effect at first, but causing them to deal no damage once 60% of the curse duration has expired. Then you've got Penance Mark, so it curses a single enemy, causing them to spawn multiple phantasms when hit. The phantasms will all be allies of the marked enemy. With the same monster level, they cast a projectile spell which deals physical damage and are immune to curses. You can only have 1 mark at a time. And then affliction skill. So affliction permanently afflicts any of your damageable minions in a targeted area, causing them to take physical damage over time at an accelerated rate. Each such minion causes you to regenerate life at a rate based on the current damage of its affliction debuff. Afflicted minions explode if their life is lowered to a fifth of maximum. So if you had like minion, it feels like it's a pretty good defensive stat. So if you were desperate to claw life back in a fight and you had a minion that regenerated enough life to be able to sustain your life pool, which tends to be the case with like, you know, specters or zombies or AGs and stuff like that, you know, pre the patch notes, though it might still be doable post patch notes, then basically you could siphon off life from your minions and keep yourself alive in like fights that you might otherwise die in, which is sort of cool, and it's an added effect that wasn't in there before. It seems like a lot of bloody power, but I don't mind that. That's pretty good for Necromancer. And then we come down and we could grab Foul Pact, which is enemies pacified by you take 20% increased damage. Minions affected by affliction have onslaught. Phantasms from Penance Mark have 50% chance to grant a Vow Soul on death. Phantasms from Penance Mark grant 50% increased flask charges, and we don't really know what Vow Souls are either, so that's going to be something entirely new as well. Anyway, that's really good for like a Necromancer build sort of thing, that, or a Guardian build that sort of uses minions, so that's what I stacked that at. But I actually think the best new Ascendancy is the Primalist. So this basically has like these items that you can socket within the Ascendancy tree, which give you stats like, you know, melee chance to have 16% chance to fortify, movement speed cannot be modified below base value, which is really, really powerful. It means that slows don't work on you, and it means you get easy fortify if you have high APS. You can have like, you know, we've got here 2% increased movement speed per frenzy charge, 7% chance to take 50% less area damage from hits, and I feel like that would scale up. And then the other one is like, you know, cursed enemies you or your minions kill have a 14% chance to explode, doing chaos damage, so explodey, and then effects of consecrate on the ground linger for 2 seconds. Like, that feels like it's insanely powerful, and that means like things like Bone Shatter and all that would benefit from that. The best part about Primalist is you can socket 3 of those in. And we even saw ones in the league announcement where it had like 1 to minimum frenzy charge, 1 to minimum power charge. It seems like there's no downside to these, which I guess is very similar to the way that Ascendancies work, is there's not really generally a downside to Ascendancies, unlike everything else in the game. So you get the increased quant. And then here you have Might of the Bear, so 5% increased character size. So instead of having to get like Emperor's Mastery jewels from like Lab, you can just run Might of the Bear. And then you also equip a Wildwood rucksack, so you get additional item sockets or item slots, so you can, you know, carry more loot. For me as a Delve player, this is amazing. Now, so you obviously can socket these charms in these sockets, right, to enhance your build. And I feel like, and I think they pull from different other Ascendancies and put also, like, we don't even know what they look like yet. I feel like this is going to be the go for almost every player is just going to go down this route, because this just makes you modify your character at a whole different level. It's an Ascendancy that you can cater to whatever you need, and I feel like that's just OP as hell. But the best one is Howl of the Wolf. Warcries attempt to shake extra items from corpses. Your Warcries can open chests. There is a reason why I'm really interested in this, and I don't know the stats behind this because I haven't, you know, data mined into finding this out. But what if in the stark possibility of reality that you might actually be able to use this on a boss with a high probability of dropping very specific items, i.e., in this case, Crystal Kings that drop All's Uprisings. So that, like, I guess they haven't clarified, like, is it from the global pool? Is it based on your quant at a point in time when you farm whatever? Is it based on the map quant, based on, you know, you shaking items out of corpses? Or is it based on the standard drop pool for the actual enemy that you're killing? And in that case, like Crystal King has a pretty high probability of an All's Uprising drop, whether it's good or bad is, you know, completely beyond that. Which means, like, you know, what if there's a possibility, and this is what makes me excited to exercise this as like, hey, maybe this could be really cool. What if there's the possibility that you could dual farm Crystal King All's Uprisings? This is like bad if we're looking at a market perspective, but also really cool if we're looking at the perspective of, well, you could get access to OP items to kit your gear out much sooner than anticipated. Now, alls are pretty rare as it is anyway. You know, they don't pop up every 5 seconds when you're playing. You might get one every, you know, 2 days or something like that if you're really farming hard for it, and at the right depths. And it is still hard to get to that point for most players. But wouldn't it be cool if that is actually how this works, and it goes to the default drop pool from that a default enemy the corpse comes from? So then, yeah, you could, you know, kill an all, get an uprising, pop it again, and then get another uprising and walk away with double uprisings. The same would be like with like Eldritch or any Eater of Worlds, where, you know, you could increase your probability of Ashes, even though Ashes got pretty significantly changed. Or with like Uber Maven or Shaper or whatever, you could pop it and then destroy the corpse again. You know, but does it work on bosses, or is it just on like enemies that you walk around? The other thing too is like players would go, oh, that's really slow. Well, if you're running Call to Arms and this is a war cry, that means that you could walk around and have it mapped to your move key and then just kill enemies around you and then just continually double pop loot. So I feel like this is really, really, really powerful, and I don't know if people have realized this yet, but that seems like it's a little busted. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I think Primalist is the best, hands down. Like, you're not going to convince me otherwise. You know, Team Primalist all the way. Anyway, if you like this video, drop me a like, drop me a sub. Don't forget to follow the Twitch, and look forward to plenty more videos coming out during the week. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.